Hi, everybody. Good morning and welcome to the channel. My name is Steve Hansen, and this is my racing channel where we talk about NASCAR and racing in general. And this video, I wasn't going to make one quite so quick, but this one is addressing the disqualification of Beard Motorsports and Anthony Alfredo out of the Daytona 500. If you're unaware, post-race inspection found that a air hose running from the right rear window to the transaxle was found to be loose or laying in the car, and then another hose that supplies the driver was also loose or laying loose. And so NASCAR, as per their rules, disqualified him. Now, I understand rules, and we got to have them, and the enforcement of them, but the attachment of said hoses is kind of arbitrary in that teams are allowed to use whatever manner they feel they need to make sure that they're fastened correctly and tightly and that there's no air that can escape these hoses. Well, if NASCAR is going to be that specific about a hose and no air leaking or something and that it stays attached, then they need to have a method that this is done so that they can tech it, because these are easily looked at through pre-race inspection. The air hose thing, you can pop the side window out, make an inspection, and you can see that it's riveted and taped. By that I mean you can tape it and then rivet it, or rivet it and then tape it. But either way, you can see that it is attached as per their specifications. It was said that these hoses in the Anthony Alfredo number 62 car were just taped, and that the tape wasn't high enough quality and it came off. So I understand it, but smaller teams, especially cup teams, don't always aren't able to afford some of the fancier tapes. And I've been a part of a small team, and just to give you a little background, I was part of a Goody Stash team the last year that NASCAR sanctioned the Goody Stash series. At Daytona, we were pushing our car through what they used to call the Room of Doom, and this is before all the laser technology and things they use now. So when we went through, some of the car was right on the gray area, but our rear wheels were too narrow. So we had to push the car off, and the crew chief had me go down to the parts truck, and I don't remember the specific width, but we went and had to get wheel spacers. So I ran to the parts truck, got the spacers, put them on, ran them through. NASCAR said you can't do that because there's not enough thread showing for the lug nuts. Pushed the car back off, and the crew chief peeled them off, said, go get this. So it's the next one smaller, or thinner, excuse me. So went down, got that, put it through, and so then they said, well, there's still not enough. And he said, no. And at this time, mind you, and that this was in the early 2000s, that you had to have a specific amount of thread used to put the lug nuts on. So this guy, our crew chief, had also been a tech inspector at one time with NASCAR, and he said, no, watch this. So he did all this, and they torqued him and everything, and it was bare minimum. And bottom line, the tech inspector with NASCAR said, get out of here, go get lined up. So the point of the matter is they have rules for everything, and especially with this new, I was going to say something different, but this new cup car that NASCAR has dreamt up, they have specifications and things for this, that, and the. So if this is a piece that, as I understand it, came off in the car, and if you've been around any of these types of cars, you know that the air coming in was going to create drag in the car. I personally don't think that this would have been any kind of a competitive advantage. And so my feelings are, I get there's rules. I get that there's punishment for those rules. He would have gone to the end of the field, but being this is Daytona, and they used to have 43 cars, now there's 40. So that's what put him out of the race, and I get it. But the whole premise of the video today, everybody, is simply, if you're going to be disqualified because of a certain rules infraction, then NASCAR needs to have that specific part or whatever. If it's that vague on how you can attach these parts, maybe you meaning NASCAR needs to be a little bit more thorough on the method of attachment with said parts. So that's not really ripping NASCAR, but again, now I've been on another part with our dirt late model. We were pushing through inspection, and we had built our rear spoiler, and it said that it could be like 8 inches from the deck to here. So we built it that way, and on the back of our spoiler, we had rolled it backwards to give it some strength. Well, unbeknownst to us, that when they went to measure it, they went clear around and they said it's too tall. And I said, what do you mean? And so bottom line, they measured the full part of the piece and not just the surface. So we had to push it back to our pits. We had to cut that off and then push it back through and get it remeasured. So like I said, there's a whole lot of a circus, if you will, between getting your car prepared and putting it through tech inspections, interpretation of said rules, and things like that. And I watched a short video with Andy Petrie, and he said that, today's NASCAR is so much. It used to be kind of a fun game that the crew chiefs did with NASCAR inspectors on pushing that gray area. And I get that NASCAR, I mean, their books, I'm being facetious, but their books used to be like this. Now with the new car, they're like this because they address everything. But as I said, I feel so sorry for Beard Motorsports and Anthony Alfredo. I don't know him personally. Back when COVID was going on and there were a bunch of us that were doing streaming on Twitch and things like that, we kind of knew each other vicariously, followed each other, and all that stuff that went on with Twitch. But anyway, bottom line, everybody, is I'm sorry for Anthony. He's still going to run or try and qualify for the Xfinity race, O'Reilly's race, new sponsor. But anyway, that's what I got for you today, everybody. Respond right here with what you think, but I think it's kind of crap that you get kicked out of a race. And I did have one guy tell me real quick. I had one guy say, "Well, can you imagine what would have happened if they'd have been in the 500 and that part failed?" Said at least they'd have been in the 500 and got last place money. There is that. So with that, everybody, have a great day, and always remember, it's better to have raced and went broke than to have never raced at all. Have a great day.